into destruction. Stop him!
Cover your head!
Stop! There he is! There he is! In for the kill! Shit out of luck. Ain't bothered me none. Don't let him get away. Can you shoot around corners?
Surrender yourself!
the edge of town.
Billy saved your ass, taking out Bob Ollinger the way he did.
Billy didn't kill Bob.
Sure he did. Dispatched him right after he shot Deputy Bell.
No, sir. Because Bob came right up behind me, angry as hell that Billy had lit out. Hello, Bob. I said, hello, Bob. I think you better let me go. And he says, I don't think so, boy. Not with my shotgun. Not with my shotgun. So we stood there in the middle of the street, eyeball to eyeball. Eyeball to eyeball. He intended to kill me, and I knew I had no choice but to defend myself.
Whoa.
Some say I fought unfairly. But they weren't the ones looking him in the eye. Pat Garrett gunned down Billy 3 months later, so his escape was all for naught anyway.
So where'd you go after Lincoln?
Mexico. Until I realized nobody was looking for me. I ended up taking a job at the Rurales.
The Mexican Rurales?
I was hired to help them track down the cowboys.
The most vicious outlaw gang in Cochise County? Curly Bill Brocious? Johnny Ringo?
Led by old man Clem himself.
They must have paid you a pretty penny to take them hombres home.
Not really. But truth be told, I had my own reasons for going after those boys.
So was the bastard you were after now riding with the cowboys?
Roscoe Bob Bryant was his name. But no, this time it was a different bastard I was after. The aforementioned Mr. Ringo. I came upon them robbing a stagecoach, which wasn't surprising, being they were such murderous thieves and bastards. The bandits wore red scarves, so I knew they worked for the old man.
Over there!
I did my best to help those poor bastards. Moments later, the attackers were dead. And I checked the stagecoach to see how many passengers were still breathing. None. It was then I wondered if the rocks weren't hiding more bandits. Was that all of them? Or did I just hit the rear guard? I quickly got my answer. They attacked from on high like Apaches often They would appear in great numbers from above and rain down lead on their hapless enemies' heads. Making use of the high ground, whatever else they had. Yep, the Apaches always appeared out of nowhere, and there never seemed to be an end to it.
Hold on. Were you attacked by Apaches? What happened to the cowboys?
Did I say they were Apaches? I said Clanton's cowboys attacked me, Apache's style. I was in a pitched battle, but I was holding my own against an overwhelming enemy force. See, at the time, I was still pretty green, but often blunder into regrettable situations. But I just kept shooting at anything I could see up in those damn rocks. I didn't see Ringo, but I knew it was the cowboys. He and Roscoe Bob had done me a dreadful wrong, and I was determined to have my revenge. But to get to Ringo, I knew I'd have to fight my way past these other assholes first.
He's getting away!
Unfortunately, I was running out of ammo. Another perfect example of my relative inexperience as a hunter of men. I immediately knew that a tactical retreat was called for, as my vengeful fury was much less impressive without the bullets to back it up. Finally, they managed to corner me. Trapped as I was, the odds of my survival seemed pretty slim. Luckily, serendipity was on my side as I suddenly spotted a way out of my predicament. I ran ahead as if the devil himself was after me. Bullets were whizzing by my ears, but I wasn't about to roll over and die. I just kept running like there was no tomorrow. Because there wouldn't be when Clanton and his men caught up with me. As I was scurrying around those caves, I thought, what was I thinking? Going up against a gang like this. You're done! I just kept running, not knowing where the hell I was going. And that's when something miraculous happened. Like manna from heaven, I found the desiccated remains of what looked like an Apache warrior. The old weapon next to him supplied me with some much-needed ammunition. Pat Masterson once told me it was more important to be lucky than good, and he would know.
good. He would know.
And imagine my surprise when I found a fistful of dynamite to go along with that ammo.
When I found a fistful of dynamite to go along with that ammo.
That stroke of good fortune evened the odds and bolstered my confidence. It was time to turn the tables. Time for the prey to become the predator. Time for the hunted to become the hunter.
All right, Jesus, we get it. They were right where you wanted them.
That's right, Jack. I was done running. The old man's boys were not expecting that. No, sir. I came at them like a wildcat. My fury knew no bounds. It was finally time for that old man to pay for his sins.
It was finally time for that old man to pay for his sins.
I yelled out at the top of my lungs, "Clanton, I'm coming for you! Clanton, I'm coming for you!" But I knew I could not let that deter me. Not if I was to find and kill Ringo. I needed to get that old man off that gun. tell you that was the longest uphill climb of my entire damn life. Well, one of the longest. There was that one time I was pursuing Frank James, Jesse James' brother.
Jesse James?
Perhaps we could talk about that one later. Now, where was I?
Perhaps we can talk about that one later.
I had old man Clanton in my sights. Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon, but it was just me. Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon, but it was just me.
Who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon, but it was just me.
can't hide from dynamite. You can't hide from dynamite. Bring it on.
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon. But it was just me.
Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon. But it was just me.
Hey, let's see what you made of, boy! Hey, let's see what you made of, boy! Kill that cocksucker!
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon. But it was just me.
Everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon. It was just me.
Show yourself! Show yourself! You can't hide from dynamite! You can't hide from dynamite!
Oh, you can't do that.
Get ready to die! Okay.
Oh.
I'll blow you right out of there. I'll blow you right out of there. Look at you, you yellow belly hiding. Wait! Yellow belly hiding. Wait!
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon. But it was just me. Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon. But it was just me.
I don't see you. You think I don't see you? Let's see what you got. Why are you so afraid to face me, huh? Why are you so afraid to face me, huh? I'll blow you right out of there. I don't know how you live this long. Traps and damn to death. But you can't Wait, goddamn bullshit. Do I gotta reload again?
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon. But it was just me. Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon. But it was just me.
They're gonna don't let that some bitch get away from me! Wait! Goddamn book!
Man.
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon.
But it was just me.
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon.
I don't know how you lived this long. Oh, gotta reload. Why are you so afraid to face me, huh? You one stupid zombie. Why are you so afraid to face me, huh? You one stupid zombie. What I ever do to you? Stop your eyes! Show yourself! Show yourself! I don't know how you live this long. Damn contraption, damn to death. Wait, goddamn fool. You one stupid zombie. What I ever do to you? Do I gotta reload again? Stop your hiding from me! Stop your hiding from me!
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon.
But it was just me.
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon.
But it was just me.
Wait, goddamn fool! Where'd you get? You are zombie! They're gonna need a dustpan to fix you coward! They're gonna need a dustpan to fix They're gonna bury you. Can't hide the dynamite. Hey, let's see what you made up for. I don't know how you live this long. What a piece of crap! Dynamite! Don't let that son of a bitch get away with that! Would you just die? Why are you so afraid to face me, huh? Why are you so afraid to face me, huh? Come on, stupid zombie! Stop your hiding from me! Damn, I gotta reload! Damn, I gotta reload!
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon, but it was just me.
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who come up against him in Guadalupe, but it was just me.
What I ever do to you? Wait, goddamn book! What a piece of crap! Die, irritating bastard! Die, irritating bastard! Everyone's first neck! Hey, let's see what you're made up for! Hey, let's see what you're made up for! You want to tell me? Now, gotta reload! Show yourself! Show yourself! Look at you, you yellow belly hot sap suckers! Would you just die? Do I gotta reload again? Wait, goddamn bulldozer!
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon, but it was just me. Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon, but it was just me.
They're gonna bury They're gonna bury Live this long. Damn contraption, damn to death. Stop here. got chicken to fly. Ain't no place to hide from me. I don't know how you live this long. Show yourself. Try me instead, you coward. You are doing something. Why are you so afraid to face me, huh? Why are you so afraid to face me, huh? Wait a goddamn look at you, you yellow belly hot snap sucker! What I ever do to you? Oh, gotta reload. Would you get
Apparently, one of the cowboys made it out of there alive and told Ike and Billy Clanton that it wasn't a Mexican who took their father's life that day.
Apparently, one of the
They just
cowboys
assumed
made
it was
out of
one
there
of the
alive.
Earps. And that little
told
misunderstanding
Ike and Billy Clanton that it
eventually
wasn't a
led to that
Mexican who took
legendary
their father's
gunfight
life
at the
that day.
OK Corral.
They just assumed it was one of the Earps. And that little misunderstanding eventually led to that legendary gunfight at the OK Corral.
A few weeks after that dust-up at the OK Corral, I was still after Johnny Ringo. I had tracked him and the cowboys to their hideout at a sawmill. They were loaded for bear.
So, what exactly did Johnny Ringo do to piss you off?
Well, him and that other bastard.
Roscoe Bob Bryant?
Yep.
So, what exactly?
They both deserve to die, and I promise I'll tell you why.
Well,
Earp's coming!
Get ready, boys.
Beat him!
First, I need to tell you about the Cowboys' new boss, Curly Bill Brocious.
Earp's coming!
Get ready, boys.
Curly Bill took charge of the Cowboys upon the old man's demise. And after that gunfight at the OK Corral, the Clantons wanted revenge.
I'm out of there now! Kill that stupid...
So they murdered Morgan Earp and grievously wounded his older brother, Virgil. hunting those outlaws down. So when I showed up, that's who they thought I was. Around every corner, all wearing red bandanas. But I wasn't about to let Ringo walk away unscathed, and that's what drove me forward.
They say that Ringo was infernally fast.
I hardly saw anyone faster, boy. Certainly not Wyatt Earp. That man was all hat and no cap. I hardly saw anyone faster, boy. Certainly not Wyatt Earp.
God damn, he's hard to hit.
Earp wasn't much of a match for him, but Doc Holliday might have taken him.
That Lumley should have kept his nose out of it. He never charged anyone for the murder of Morgan Earp. Lumley should have kept his nose out of it. He never charged anyone for the murder of Morgan Earp.
But everybody knew that Curly shot him in the back. That was common knowledge.
Well, maybe so. But Ringo had nothing to do with it. He was just being loyal to a friend.
That was common knowledge.
Oh, I forgot. But Ringo had nothing to do with it. He was just being loyal to a friend.
That's how the cowboys identified each other. And I was beginning to wish I had one myself.
You're dead. Show yourself, coward. You're done.
They say that Ringo was infernally fast. They say that Ringo was infernally
That Lumley should have kept his nose out of it. He never charged anyone for the murder of Morgan Earp.
Somebody killed him.
That Lumley should have kept his nose out of it. He never charged anyone for the murder of Morgan Earp.
Everybody knew that Curly shot him in the back. That was common knowledge.
Yeah, maybe so. But Ringo had nothing to do with it. He was just being loyal to a friend.
That was common knowledge.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, maybe
Being loyal.
But Ringo had nothing to do with it.
Well, to get to that loyal friend, I had to pass by some buzzsaws as big as a man.
You call it. Being loyal. To get to that loyal friend, I had to pass by some buzzsaws as big as a man.
This is gonna hurt.
Excuse me, sir. I have a question.
What's that, Dwight?
After old man Clanton died, why didn't his son take over the Cowboys?
Because Ike Clanton was dumber than a box of rocks and a yellow belly to
After old
boot.
man Clanton died, why didn't his son take over the Cowboys?
Because Ike Clanton was dumber than a box of rocks and a yellow belly.
Now, where was I?
Taking down the entire cowboy gang single-handed.
Indeed I was, Jack.
Where was I? Taking down the entire cowboy gang single-handed. Indeed I was.
Though it wasn't easy, as those boys had good cover.
Can't believe you missed it.
Those boys had good cover.
Middle-aged that sucker.
Carts everywhere, piles of lumber, and God knows what else for people to hide behind. That really was one hell of a sawmill. Quite an impressive operation.
Everywhere, piles of lumber, and God knows what else for people to hide behind. That really was one hell of a sawmill. Quite an impressive operation.
And where was Curly Bill? Did you see him?
I'm about to get to that, Ben. Patience. I'm painting a picture here. There was this beautiful waterfall and a crystal clear stream that led to a verdant valley that was truly...
Consider your picture painted. What happened next?
Well, finally the bastards that were still alive made a last stand.
Led to a verdant valley that was truly...
Consider your picture painted. What happened next?
Well, finally the bastards that were still alive made a last stand.
Bill, Johnny Ringo, and his compadres took off into the lumber yard, and I followed after.
Curly Bill, Johnny Ringo, and his compadres took off into the lumber yard, and I followed after.
Are you saying they ran? Cowardice was not in Ringo nor Curly Bill's nature.
No, sir. I never said they were running
Are
scared.
you saying they ran?
They just wanted me out in the open.
Cowardice was not in Ringo nor Curly
Time to
Bill's nature.
dance with the devil.
No, sir. I never said they were running
Working
scared.
for Wyatt Earp.
They just wanted me out in
That
the
son of a
open.
bitch Earp sent you to kill me. Help me out here.
Are you saying they ran? Cowardice was not in Ringo nor Curly Bill's nature.
No, sir. I never said they were running scared.
Are you saying they
They
ran?
just wanted me out in the open.
Cowardice was not in Ringo nor Curly
Time to
Bill's nature.
dance with the devil.
No, sir. I never said they were running scared. They just wanted me out in the open.
Sent you to kill me.
saying they ran? Cowardice was not in Ringo nor Curly Bill's nature.
No, sir. I never said they were running scared.
Are you saying
They just
ran?
wanted me out in the open.
Cowardice was not in Ringo
Time
nor
to
Curly
dance
Bill's
with the
nature.
devil.
No, sir. I never said they were running scared. They just wanted
That
me
son
out
of a
in
bitch
the open.
Earth sent you to kill me?
Brocious gave me no choice but to take his life. But Ringo was nowhere to be found.
I knew you didn't kill Ringo, because he was found dead in a different location
But
altogether.
Ringo was nowhere
To this
be
day,
found.
his killer is still unknown.
Indeed. Took me a few months before I finally tracked his ass to West Turkey Creek Canyon.
Altogether.
To this day, his killer is still unknown.
Indeed. Took me a few months before I finally tracked his ass to West Turkey Creek Canyon.
That's incredible, sir. I always thought that Doc Holliday was the one that killed him. That's incredible, sir. I always thought that Doc Holliday was the one that killed him. That's incredible, sir. I always thought that Doc Holliday was the one that killed him. That's incredible, sir. I always thought that Doc Holliday was the one that killed him. That's incredible, sir. I always thought that Doc Holliday was the one that killed him. That's incredible, sir. I always thought that Doc Holliday was the one that killed him.
Sorry I had to ruin the legend for you, boy. But the legend ain't always true. Doc Holliday had nothing to do with the death of Johnny Ringo.
But the legend ain't always true. Doc Holliday had nothing to do with the death of Johnny Ringo.
I was paid a healthy bounty for Ringo and Curly Bill, and realized there was real money to be made. That's why I went after Henry Plummer. I was paid a healthy bounty for Ringo and Curly Bill, and realized there was real money.
Wasn't he the sheriff who augmented his income by shaking down miners and robbing gold shipments?
That's the one.
Oh, yeah, I remember him. He ran that gang of thieving outlaws called the Innocents.
So it's true that you went toe-to-toe with him?
Indeed I did, son.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed I did.
He ran that gang of thieving outlaws called the Innocents.
So it's true that you went toe-to-toe with him?
Indeed I did, son. Indeed I did. I knew I needed resources if I was going to track down Roscoe Bob Bryant. And hunting Plummer looked like a good way to get rich quick. As the local vigilantes exposed him as the leader of the bandits and put a generous price on his head.
Plummer looked like a good way to get rich quick.
Plummer rallied his gang to plunder one last gold mine before making their escape. And that's where I thought I'd find him.
Put a generous price on his head.
It makes me nervous standing so close to
Plummer
all
rallied
these
his gang to
goddamn
plunder one last gold mine before making their escape.
No one
That's
has the
where I thought
cojones to
I'd
come
find
after
him.
us. As long as you don't light up a cigar, we're fine.
Yeah? Who the hell is that then?
My late father pointed out to me more than once. God made men. Samuel Colt made me.
I'm into you!
God made men. Samuel
You or me?
I knew that dynamite wasn't mine, so I decided the polite thing would be to return it. It was the biggest gold rush since Sutter's Mill in '48. Unfortunately, prospectors weren't the only ones drawn to those riches.
It was the biggest gold rush since Sutter's Mill in '48. Unfortunately, prospectors weren't the only ones drawn to those riches.
There were thieves, killers, robbing travelers, and hijacking gold shippers. Like those that ran with Plummer. Some were just regular folks I knew from town, drawn by greed and easy pickings.
You're dead.
Charlie Crow, the blacksmith. James, who worked in the stable. Sam and Jeremiah Barber, the butcher's sons. Ordinary citizens who lived a double life. Stealing and thieving and murdering their neighbors. Of course, the rest were veterans of the Civil War. Stone-cold killers trained on the bloody fields of Shiloh and Antietam. Dangerous, desperate individuals.
Put that moron out of here.
If Daddy had lived to see Alfred Nobel's explosive invention, my guess is he would have told Samuel Colt to kiss his ass. Plummer had a lot of men on his payroll. A hell of a lot. That son of a bitch pretended to protect the public with one hand, while stealing them blind with the other. He set up a defensive perimeter which I had no idea how to breach. I was outnumbered and in way over my head, but I was too damn stubborn and stupid to realize it. They must have thought I was tough, or had some kind of death wheel, seeing as there were barrels of gunpowder everywhere.
They must have thought I was tough.
I thought I was some kind of hero.
I thought I was some kind of hero.
I finally made it past and headed on to meet my destiny. But first, I had something I needed to figure out.
I finally made it past and headed on to meet my destiny.
I had a few ideas on how to get into that mine, but once I made my decision, I knew there was no turning back. So my first thought was to enter the nearest mine portal. I saw an entrance.
I had a few ideas on how to
Made
get into
sense.
that mine. But once I made my decision, I knew there was no turning back.
It was the quickest way in,
So my first
but that
thought was
also
to
made it
enter
more
the nearest
dangerous,
mine portal. I
as
saw
there would
an entrance.
undoubtedly be enemy pickets
sense.
posted along the way.
It was the quickest way in, but that also made it more dangerous, as there would undoubtedly be enemy pickets posted along the way.
I'm putting you down. Putting you down.
Besides, once you enter a mine like that, it's easy to get all turned around. And that confusing maze of corridors wouldn't even be the worst of it.
Besides, once you
Some of those shafts could be as deep as hell.
get all turned around. And that confusing maze of corridors wouldn't even be the worst of it. Some of those shafts could be as deep as hell.
It's you or me.
This is why I do not like heights.
Whoa. This is why I do not like
He's bleeding!
Single stumble or misstep can easily end in a deadly plunge to oblivion. Quick reflexes often make up for a lack of common sense. Luckily, I was never one to be easily bushwhacked. I would just need to be careful not to blow myself to kingdom come. With all that gunpowder and dynamite everywhere, a body has to know what he's shooting at. All it takes is one tiny spark, and boom.
With all that gunpowder and dynamite everywhere, a body has to know what he's shooting at. All it takes is one tiny spark.
As a boy, I always loved the 4th of July.
Take it! Get him!
One wrong bullet could have turned that mine into a dad-blasted tube. Not just moronic, but clearly insane. It's a good thing that I abandoned that ridiculous plan before I even tried it. Instead, I spotted a ladder. A way into the mine from the opposite side.
I abandoned that ridiculous plan before I even tried it.
It was a long way around, but that approach seemed more sensible at the time.
From the opposite side.
Of course, being I had a problem with heights, that scaffolding scared the bejesus out of me.
It was a long way around.
Climbing down that ladder required some caution.
At the time.
Because even though I had a younger man's reflexes,
with heights, that scaffolding scared the bejesus.
No man can dodge a damn bullet while climbing down a rickety ladder.
Even though I
needed to make a leap of faith. Which ain't easy when you're suspended between heaven and hell.
Climbing down a rickety ladder. I needed to make a leap of faith. Which ain't easy when you're suspended between heaven and hell.
I was determined not to give up. That Sheriff Plummer seemed quite the despicable character. When the vigilantes discovered what the sheriff was up to, people were outraged. That 10,000 they put on his head would go a long way to helping me find old Bob.
When the vigilantes discovered what the sheriff was up to, people were outraged. That 10,000 they put on his head would go a long way to helping me find old Bob.